I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. The House Judiciary Committee held a markup Thursday on gun control legislation. During the debate, Congressman Louie Gohmert recalled giving his wife a pistol as protection when he was away in the Army. Gohmert then suggested people might be apprehensive to join the military if gun reform laws suggest, quote, "We're not going to allow your spouse to have adequate protection while you're away." Republicans and Democrats continue to lock horns after a spate of recent mass shootings brought the gun control debate back to the national stage. Here's more from the emergency markup.
To strike the last word.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. I think the amendment is well reasoned and appropriate. As someone who owed the Army 4 years from a scholarship at Texas A&M, who was trained, I know different places, but when I was at Fort Riley, it was a standing order. You could not wear your uniform off post because of the violence that was inflicted on service members. I came in after Vietnam, but we were called baby killers and all kinds of things. People hated us for no reason. We were trying to serve our country. When I got married, immediately before going to the Army, and I've also been assistant DA, had threats on my life, but I got my new wife, a pistol because she needed something to protect her when I wasn't around. And that was certainly true. Columbus, Georgia is a wonderful city, but there were times we were ordered not to wear a uniform off post because there were people that didn't like us in service of our country. And we never went to combat during my 4 years on active duty, but I was sent on temporary duty different places, and I wanted to know my wife was going to be safe with a firearm that would protect her. And a comment by one of my friends on Republican side was mentioned we may have people pushing through laws that don't really know their effect. And I'm curious, I would yield to the chair if you could explain what center fire in this bill means.
The gentleman is asking a question of the chair.
Yes, if you're willing to answer or able. It's an interesting concept, center fire. It's mentioned in the bill.
My understanding is it means not rem fire as opposed to center fire with the primer.
Yeah, you got good advisors. But basically,
is that your way of saying you answered it correctly, Mr. Gohmert?
Well, it's a little bit simplistic. The rim fire is more dangerous if you are getting a higher caliber. Center fire is safer for the one using it. It's why you see more center fire rounds than rim fire, and it's why it's harder to find rim fire in the bigger calibers that would protect you from someone. And I know from my days as a prosecutor, 25 automatic, for example, first two homicides we had, somebody shot another guy with a 25 and he got mad and killed him with a bigger gun. So I made a mental note, don't use 25 automatics for self-protection. But anyway, it is important. I'm not sure how many Democrats really could outline the difference between rim fire and center fire and exactly the ramifications of using either. But coming back to the amendment, we have had problems for our Army, for our military recruiting since October of last year. And really people began hesitant that I was hearing around in Texas saying, wow, the president just left these guys to die in Afghanistan. Oh my gosh, he trusted the enemy to protect them. And so people have been more reluctant, but recruiting started being a problem beginning last October. And if you're going to have to tell people if this becomes law, you're going to defend the country but we're not going to allow your
I'll call him on the record. I mean,
and we're not going to allow your spouse to have adequate protection while you're away, be it a man or a woman. And by the way, we think if you're between 18 and not reached 21, we think you're mentally infirm. You're not to an age. Whereas in Texas, if you're 17, we try you as an adult. And that's just the way it is. So I think it's a good amendment, and I would encourage people to vote for it.
The gentleman's time has expired. For what purpose does Mr. Raskin seek recognition?